Hello?
Hi, good afternoon. Can I speak to Damon, please?
Yeah, speaking.
Damon, it's Jason Curtis speaking from Cape Town, South Africa. How are you?
Jason, is it?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Jason. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
Good. Are you free to chat for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I hear you're in the studio. What are you up to?
No, I'm not.
Ah. I was going to say, you just finished an album.
Oh, yeah, I'll be back in soon. No real rush yet, but I'm constantly sort of writing at home, which is where I am.
Okay.
Just got back from a weekend away in Wales.
Okay.
Got a caravan. So.
Lovely. Because I actually got to speak to you, must have been at least a year ago, when you were sort of bobbing around the countryside. Yes, on the last.
I remember, yeah, I was at the front of my tour bus.
There we go. Yeah, we kept on being cut off because I think you were going through tunnels and stuff, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
But yeah, good to speak to you and congratulations on the new record.
Thanks a lot.
As I say, it's a welcome return, I think, and I was actually watching.
I was wondering if one of these interviews would be you again.
So, God, it's him again.
No, I mean, I've not done many interviews with South African journalists, so I was wondering if one might be you. So.
Yes. No, and happily so for me, anyway. But no, as I say, great new record, I have to admit. And as I say, I was actually watching Entertainment. I think it's called Entertainment Now, over the weekend on satellite, and there was an interview with you where they had an insert, and I think your comment about the new album as well. If nobody else likes it, it's their own problem. It's certainly not yours, which I thought was rather apt.
Yeah, well, I sort of always feel like, and I can't complain about the amount of success that I've achieved in the last five or 6 years, but it still kind of seems like I'm running uphill a bit and trying to convince people all the time, and I've definitely achieved a great amount, but like with this new album domestically in England, it just feels like it's just never quite going to break through. I mean, but I think in a strange way, I'm probably in a stronger position than I realised. To still be around and not have I've never really had a great, massive breakthrough hit record or single, and I think people just. It's an overall entity that people see me as, and I'm allowed and able to still release records. And I think there's a certain fan base that's established, and people are interested in what I do, and other people are coming on board gradually all the time. So, and it's not about making money. I mean, I've kind of achieved that.
Sure.
That's what I wanted to achieve.
Sure.
I can honestly say that it's just about I just think there's so much rubbish about. There's so much music and art that doesn't really care, and I think I do. So I'm just trying to convert people a little bit to something that has a bit more meaning to it. So that's what I say when I shouldn't still be feeling like that. I should be more relaxed.
Yes.
Generally, I am, but I still feel like even after all this time, I'm still a bit of the underdog.
Yes. Which is strange because, I mean, I think the UK anyway is notorious for sort of championing the sort of underdog when they're new and fresh, and sort of obviously trying to be the ones to point out what's going to be the next big thing. And I think you had sort of a taste of that, I think, initially, obviously with the Mercury Award and all of that. So I mean, you were sort of arguably sort of flavour of the month in that circle, and then you carried on doing it. And I think, almost as if people didn't expect you to be able to maintain, which you've clearly done again. I
think that's where the problem lies. I think people expect you to have had a major fall by this point, or at least there's one coming up. And I mean, I can't say that will never happen, but I honestly don't. I just feel still as, I wouldn't say hungry, because that sounds like it's not the right word, but I'm just still as committed to and as excited about the music I might be able to make. I still haven't fulfilled what it is I was setting out to do.
Right.
Whether it was to write the best song, or whether it was to just make consistently good albums, or I still think that I've not really done enough yet.
Yeah, because I mean, because there has to be a challenge for you, isn't there? I mean, first and foremost.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just that making music is a challenge in itself. It's something I find very challenging just within itself. Making music is difficult. Making good music is even harder than making music that reflects you, properly reflects who you are, and also changes who you are at the same time. Each time you start a new record, you don't want to suddenly start. It wouldn't be very good if I suddenly said, right, I'm going to make a hip hop album, or I'm going to make an electro record, or a heavy metal album. I could easily do any of those things.
Yes.
But the harder thing to do is to make albums that still progress, that still shift in a direction, that you find yourself in a different place, but it still reflects the artist that you are, so that people who liked you before would hopefully get onto what you're doing now.
Sure.
I think the new album does have a very different feel to Have You Fed the Fish, and it's weird that a lot of people think this album's better, or people that like Have You Fed the Fish,
yes.
And there didn't seem to be many, to be honest, seem to think this album's much better, but people who like Have You Fed the Fish don't seem to like this album.
Okay.
Like Have You Fed the Fish seem to like this album. It's weird. I just think it's a strength of the two of the albums is that they are different.
Yes.
Next to each other in terms of my release schedule. People should appreciate that, really, but some people don't. So. But
you're probably being accused of almost testing your audience, to the point of saying, okay, well, let's see if they buy this, will they buy into this more than anything else, and they're like going, not that is the motivation, but as much as you push the boundaries with yourself, you also want your audience to move with you. So you will lose some, but then you will gain some, as you say.
Well, the greatest challenge of all is to be. I can't think, well, it's not the best way of putting it, but the greatest challenge is to be commercial without being commercial. Like to make if I could have a commercially accepted album that is definitely not commercial within itself, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
That's probably what I'm always aiming at, is to try and turn people on a commercial level onto something that isn't. Try and not fall into the trap, for example, of just writing songs that will sound good on radio, which a lot of bands do. And I think the strength in this new album is that it is a real record. It's kind of like an old school. The overall ideal I had for it was like, and the cover of the sleeve represents this too. Like it'd be one of those records you might find in a second-hand store or a thrift shop, and you discover it, and it'd be like an undiscovered treasure kind of thing.
Yes.
Something that may have been an old record that nobody quite got at the time, and it sounds good later on. But you can't attempt to write that way, but that was the ideal I had. Like it was a classic thing. It was something untouchable and uncriticisable. And
trying to beat the critics.
It's impossible to do all those things. Well, that's what, as an aesthetic, I was aiming for. I think that's what I'm always aiming for, is to try and sidestep what's happening
around you.
Around you, because it's if you watch MTV all the time, and I do watch it and enjoy quite a lot of it, but it beats you down.
It does.
Popular culture beats you down. You just think, why am I a part of this? I don't really.
Well, you're not really. That's the thing. Yeah, because you don't fit.
I know, and then I want to fit.
Yes.
As soon as I do, I don't. So it's kind of like it's a constant pull and push thing. It's like, why am I not as accepted as that band that have just gone to number one? And and then at the same time you feel glad that you're not. So it's quite distressing.
Sure, and because popular culture doesn't really know what its own identity is, you can't exactly go there to get it, because it's being dictated by you and things around you. But obviously some things have a stronger pull than others. But I think for the most part your fan base is grateful that you do what you do, because it stands outside of that, and I think in many respects that's what makes them engage, because it is refreshing and it is challenging. I think it's challenging. The first time I put the record on, it was a challenge for me to listen to it, because it wasn't as immediate as switching on MTV by example. But 3 listens in, I was grateful for the fact that I needed to unpack the songs, and I needed to unpack all of it in order for it to translate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've kind of got this mental image at the back of my mind that what's happening with my career is that it's sometimes frustratingly slow. I haven't had this breakthrough as a huge hit, or sometimes I feel like, why not? And my mum and dad get upset that they don't think I'm getting as much credit as I deserve. And then along the way, I've had moments of glory, like the Military Prize early on, a few other plaudits, and albums selling slowly and steadily. So there's mental images of this people that follow what I do, forming this concrete base, as opposed to other artists that sell millions of records overnight.
Yeah.
And it's a huge platform, but it's made of sponge. Mine's a much shallower platform, but it's actually made of concrete.
Yes.
It'll stay. And that's kind of like what you want to be, really. That traditionally, an artist like Bob Dylan or Neil Young or Springsteen or any of those artists that have been around a long time.
Exactly.
I suppose I'm in a position where I can't predict the future, but if I was to, I would hope it would be that I'd still be around and look back on these albums as like solid foundations for.
Well, that's the thing, and I think they're all they're all essential parts of your makeup. I mean, every album gives the listener a little more insight into into that space, and it can't be told on one album or even on two or on three. And as you say, what you'd like to do is be able to unpack this indefinitely, so that you have a career, not just a flash in the pan success.
But it inevitably reaches this crossroads, which is where I'm at, where I sort of started to feel, oh no, I think I've lost the plot. People aren't following me anymore. Maybe I've reached that mid-career position. I've already become Paul Weller. And that's meant as a compliment to Paul.
Yes, absolutely.
After his massive creative years with the Jam and the Style Council, he became a solo artist that was looked at as an old man. I think these days it happens much quicker, that cycle, where, especially domestically, I'm kind of like, I've been around long enough now to be somebody that all these new artists have been listening to for a few years. It's really not that long period of time.
Sure.
And I meet all these new bands, and they say, "Oh, I really like what you do," and so I'll get all this praise from my peers.
Yes.
And then, but it doesn't get reflected in the sales, and these kids that grew up on my music, in inverted commas, grew up, they're actually selling more albums than me, and it feels a bit of a strange place to be in, but it's not bad,
No, sure. But I think too, I mean, to your credit as well, is the fact that you're with a label that I think that understands that, they quite clearly state that obviously it's important that this is your livelihood, so that it should generate some income for you, but that's not the number one drive, and that it's almost to say that you had success early on, so in a way now you're sitting and you're feeling a little cheated, because, well, not cheated, but just that it started off so well, and then it's now hits a plateau. Now it's like but the label certainly, I think, accepts that, and they're going, I think had album 1 and 2 not done what they'd done, you'd still be signed to the label, and they'd still be, because they appreciate the fact that you almost, you don't, let's just say you could make a rock record, you could make a hip-hop record, but you choose not to, because this is the kind of music that you wanted to make, and both your label and your fans that you have appreciate that. And from that, popular culture at some point will tap in again, and that's when you get that commercial wave again, which I always believe is...
I suppose ultimately you just have to turn in your work, records that you know you're proud of, even if they completely miss the point at the time they release it, even if you kind of know at the back of your mind that this isn't going to change my world in terms of an overnight success. That's sort of more fulfilling. But and touched on it lyrically as well in the, like, this is that new song I told you about 20 years ago. A reference to me saying it's kind of irrelevant. This could be 20 years ago. It could be 20 years from now. Because what I've zoomed in on, what I'm highlighting is that this is what I'll still be doing on a different scale, or a different part of me will be doing this same thing. So it doesn't matter whether it's now or then. future.
And I think album on album, that's what you're applauded for. You know, that there is consistency in that, and there's consistency in your growth as a musician. Because I think any artist that whatever you're going to put your name onto, you ultimately want to be proud of it, regardless of how how it's commercially picked up.
Well, this one was a strange album to make as well, because whilst knowing that it was my last album for Beggars Banquet for Excel, it was the last one in their deal. There was no sign of them wanting to sign me again. So in the meantime, I signed a new deal with EMI, which starts from the next album.
Brilliant.
So I was, it's a good future to have in terms of what I can do next.
Yes.
The scope I might have.
Yes.
But a lot of the lyrics in this album reflect the fact that it is a transitional period. I am moving on. And whilst I'm sad, I'm hopeful, and there's no grudges.
Yes.
To be fair, in what's happened in the past, because there have been disappointments.
Sure.
A lot of there's been moments of glory, there's been disappointments, and I'm just trying to remain philosophical about it. Too bad.
But as you said, it's all part of the journey, and I mean, again, almost autobiographical in many respects, as you said, both lyrically and musically, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Are you going to be signing directly to EMI, or will it be Parlophone or one of the smaller labels, the sub-labels?
Directly to EMI, actually.
Brilliant.
The deal was signed in December.
Okay.
Still making this record. It's strange. It's what they call a futures deal.
Yes.
Which came into effect in June.
Okay.
A certain amount of months after I delivered this record, I was there. EMI, so I'm technically signed with EMI now.
Hence the reason why you'll be going back into the studio sometime soon.
Well, I mean, I don't know when I'll do that.
Yes.
It'll probably pan out that I won't do it till maybe January. But what I want to do on the next album is try and make it in a couple of weeks or a month.
Yes.
Try and prepare the songs a bit more rather than write them in the studio as I go. So I'm writing songs at home as usual.
Yes.
Try and perhaps play it with a band. I mean, largely this last album was done with a trio.
Yes.
And we added overdubs, but the bulk of it was done as a trio.
Okay.
Live.
Okay.
So
that's lovely.
I'm trying to get more towards that, making records
spontaneously almost.
A lot more in advance.
Yeah.
And just playing them live and taking the best takes, like bands do, because I never had that luxury of doing that. I've worked as a solo artist, but I don't know. I mean, I probably won't have time to start this record this year. It depends if I get a break.
And then you'll see what will happen is that your first album for EMI will probably end up elevating every album that you did for Beggars. You know, it's always the case when artists move.
Yeah. It should be great for them and great for me.
For sure, because I think that day is yet to come, as you say, that true realization of the art that is your music has been appreciated by a relatively strong fan base, but in commercial terms, I do believe that day is yet to come, and by that point, I think it'll be comfortably on your terms.
Well, I think if and when it does move to a different level of appreciation, I mean, it's certainly been very good up to now, but I've achieved a profile as what you might call a celebrity, which in this country which outweighs what I actually achieved in sales, so it starts to feel a bit weird. So if and when it does happen, at least it will feel like it's deserved as opposed to an overnight thing.
Yes.
I think people might appreciate that, and I'll feel like it was deserved as well.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, if it continues on the level it's at,
that's fine too.
But it feels slow, that's all. It just feels a bit slow at times.
I think you just...
When I play live, it's incredible wherever I play live around the world.
Is that not a case of you being more critical of yourself and what your expectation is?
Not particular. I just kind of judge it by other people's success as well, like my peers, and I'm not sure that this is landed in the right place because those people seem to be achieving a bit more than me. So it makes you feel like you have underachieved, or maybe you've done something wrong. Maybe you're not quite good enough, but But that can also be inspiring, make you think, well, I'm gonna be better next time. But ultimately, I do look at the record, like the current one, and think, well, I actually really like it. I'm sure.
And that's the most important thing, surely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's a negative thing. It's just a thinking out loud thing, and it's something I'm aware of, and I think it can only be healthy because, like you said, I mean, I had this success early on. I was spoiled by it.
Yes, I think.
Expecting a Mercury Prize nomination with every album, because I think they're all as good as the first album. So if that one won it, then surely the others should be in there too.
Yes, in some cases.
Not the way it works.
Yeah, in some cases you would probably argue that the later albums were stronger comparatively. Yeah.
Stronger in certain ways.
Yes.
I think the new one's stronger in terms of it being together and concise and not too eclectic. I used the phrase that this new album sort of feels like it's different shades of the same colour as opposed to trying to be the rainbow. That's what I've tried to do in the past, trying to cram in too many different colours.
But then maybe that's the lesson too with your approach to the music as well, is that instead of as much as you want it to be, arguably all things to all men, it can never be that. It can be a shade of that, album on album.
I think that comes with a bit of maturity, learning your craft, learning what you're good at, and being willing to lose a few people along the way.
Sure.
By not giving them what they want, but hopefully it comes full circle, and those people will see it and think, oh yeah, I missed it that time.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I miss out on music all the time because my timing wasn't right.
Yeah.
I hear it again, I think, why did I not get that?
Yes, I'm the same. Yeah.
Recently it happened with what's his name? From Pink Floyd, Sid Barrett.
Yes.
Because people over the years have said, oh, do you like Sid Barrett? You must listen to Sid Barrett.
Yes.
No, not really. And recently, Jimmy Goodwin from the Dubs played me this record.
Yes.
Sid Barrett.
Yes.
We were driving to Wales. And
Yes.
I was, wow, what's that? And it's a record I've had in my collection for years and never listened to.
Right.
Because I must have put it on at some point and thought, 10 years ago, and it didn't really connect. And hearing it again now, I was like, wow, that's the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
These couple of songs from the album where he's kind of on the floorboards in that. I don't even know the title.
I'm trying to think of the title because I had that record too. I'm trying to think what it's called.
Clever. I mean, the arrangements and the time signatures. And it was just incredible. I was like, wow, because that's what happens. You grow and you change, and you look for different things in you look for different values in the same things you've been looking at for years, and you see different things. And that's kind of what it's like to be making the music. The next album, I want to try and stick to the Bradley John Boyd blueprint, but pull out different avenues in it and say, oh, I didn't do that yet, I didn't try this.
But that's great though, because I mean, if anything, it signals to you that that this is a long path, and this isn't. I mean, if you had run out of ideas, or if you were rehashing, album one, over and over and over, then I think you would have a bigger crisis than the one that you currently sit with.
Yeah, exactly. It's more interesting to find yourself in this kind of position of there's a greater challenge even than achieving your first success, which is a huge challenge. It's like doing your O levels at school, and then thinking that was the hardest thing ever, and then you come to your A levels. Yes. You're doing less of them,
but
because it's more detailed. It's even harder. And you wonder why it was hard before. To progress in life, that's what it's about. To make records over a 20-year period, it's going to be like, well, the stuff I found hard then is easy now, but it can be the opposite as well. The stuff that came easy then is quite hard now.
But I think that's your saving grace, is that at least you're aware of it. So I think that you'll never find yourself in that position.
Well, exactly. It's good that I can talk about it. This is what makes it hard. This is what makes it fun.
Sure.
And it'll never stop being or hard at the same time.
No.
hopefully, and you just keep shifting around it and finding ways of cracking it.
Sure. And I think it's great because, I mean, if you're ever accused of being self-indulgent, then let it be so, because I think for that, many more people will be grateful.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Well, Damon, thank you. I know that I've used up my time, but thank you so much for chatting to me. Look forward to talking to you again on your next record.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jason. Yeah, it's good to speak to you. Hopefully I'll be, I don't know if there's any plan to ever come out there. It should be, really.
Yes, I think so. I think there's, well, with the label now, as I say, since I spoke to you last, the label has changed hands as far as distribution is concerned, and the guys who are running it now are very committed to the label. They actually even had Martin Mills out here a couple of months ago. So
Right.
I know on the XL side of things, Basement Jacks are coming out here in September, October time. So there's a good chance that they may take full advantage of the fact that you're still obligated to them, certainly until the next album comes out. So hopefully we can get you here.
Yeah, well, it will be with EMI.
It will, yeah.
Whichever label it will be in South Africa, I don't know.
It would be, yes. It would be EMI, yeah.
Right.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, and all the best. So with this record in the meantime, and
Well, yeah.
and all the best, as I say, for the new deal as well.
Cheers, Jason.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.